Oh. Can't find it, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today, courtesy of Character Education Initiative Principal Academy. And we're here as a continuation of our training program and work with teachers, especially in Belize. So all of you who've logged on from Belize, welcome. It's always good to see you again. So our first speaker, our MC and speaker beginning will be Alan Saunders. Many of you may know him from his character education work and the Character Ed initiative that he pioneered and has put together, and as a consultant and trainer, and has done character education training around the world. So he has, and with diverse groups, public schools, private schools, parent groups, you name it. So he will start us off as our MC and introduce our program. So Alan, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dr. Winings. Today I'll be giving a brief introduction into the Character Education Initiative. As Dr. Winings mentioned, is co-sponsored by the Principal Academy Institute, Women's Federation for World Peace Japan, as well as the Samuel Haynes Institute for Excellence right there in Belize. So we're going to be talking about how to develop character, and let's see. So my first question that we begin with, what is character education? And character education, the definition by Dr. Thomas Lacona, the grandfather of character education, wrote the seminal book, Educating for Character, is a deliberate effort to help people understand, care about, and act upon core ethical values. It may seem obvious that this should be taught in the family, which it still is, but in a lot of cases, there's a high level of dysfunctionality within the family here in the US. Some research shows it's up to 95%. So we have to be able to augment what is being done in the home and the community centers, the churches, and in the schools. So then it's a conscious effort to instill virtues in teachers, community leaders, parents, and obviously in children. Our program focuses on the cognitive, to know the good, to care about the good, and to do the good. So it's a step-by-step process that we work on. The most important of those is what's known as the social emotional level, or what some would say the more internal or artistic level. And then to be able to do the good, it's not just a cognitive experience. So why do we need character education? High levels of divorce in the States, 50% for first marriages, 70% for second, 85% for third marriages. So obviously there's a lot of issues, premarital sexual relationships to sometimes down to the ages of 10, 12 years of age. We also have an alienation of traditional values. And when young people don't know their roots or their culture, they don't know where they're going to. So we want to be able to help them give direction, because a lot of the social ills occur here and in the Caribbean and Central America is because they don't have a clear goal. They don't know who their identity is. Then they get involved in very high risk activities. Countries even like New Zealand and Korea have some of the highest teen suicide rates in the world. In the States here, we had over 100,000 suicides last year, many because young people just don't know who they are and where they're going to again. Teenage pregnancy rates are rising, crime throughout Central South America and here in the States, and high levels of drug abuse now, even in the small area that I live here. I live in a country town of 15,000 people in the mountains around here. There's high use of fentanyl and all kinds of substances, alcohol abuse, unwholesome media and entertainment situations. Where does character education come from? It has always been a part of traditional education all the way back to the ancient Greeks. And most of the universities in the States were founded to train clergy to be able to help them guide other young people. There was a whole debate in the 70s and 80s on logical positivism. Theory of relativity was tried to be applied to the school level, but through values clarification, but ultimately that was shown that it couldn't be used for young people. One of the questions we always get asked when we're teaching character education is, whose values are you going to teach? Are we going to teach Pierre Beauregard's values from Canada? Are we going to teach Poppy's values from Colorado? She's been a character educator for many years. And this is what we first have to understand. However, values are very subjective. There's a different value for someone like Mrs. Arlington compared to a 6 or 8-year-old child. So we can't always just focus on values. Even from a universal level, we're all equal. But what we find is that people value may change from culture to culture. In some areas, sand may be highly valued, but in the Middle East, probably not. So values change, so they're relative. However, what we focus on is virtues education. In some parts of the Central America and the Caribbean, they use these terms interchangeably. But the term we use here is virtues, which are universal, such as respect, responsibility, honesty, and different presenters will be talking about this. And they do not change. They are consistent from culture to culture. So that's what our whole program is based on. It's also based on the 3 life goals: to develop mature character, have loving relationships, and making a positive contribution to society. So a step-by-step process. It's also focused on the 4 realms of heart, so we can help young people have good relationships in their families, understand positive relationships, how to develop healthy marital relationships, and becoming unconditional parents. So this is just a very brief introduction. We'll be talking more about some of the books that they're using right there in Belize. And we will have plenty of time for questions later, and we will have group discussions also where you can go in and discuss groups. So again, welcome to the webinar today. I would like to now introduce Dr. Kathy Winings. She has been a good friend for over 4 decades. She is the executive director of the International Relief Friendship Foundation, which does service projects all around the world. She's done extensive projects in DR, in countries like Haiti, in your region, Guyana. She is the main advisor for our series for Discovering the Real Me. She is a graduate from Columbia Teachers College, and she is the president and founder of Educari. And she is also one of the quintessential experts in teaching and character education, and will be becoming one of our main coaches that we'll be going into. Dr. Winings, the floor is yours.
Okay. Anyway, it's nice to see all of you this afternoon, and I have a simple PowerPoint that will help, I think, show the comments. I basically, we did, as an educator, all of us are interested, of course, in how well we do. Now, when we are in a classroom, you have a sense, all right? But here, in the trainings that we've done, we wanted to see what are some of the still outstanding issues, concerns, and needs for all of you and other teachers that have been on in terms of how to improve their work in the Character Education Initiative. So we did a survey of those who participated, and we got a few responses back. Basically, we got 8, but from this, in assessing this, I sort of drew some conclusions. Generally speaking, participants felt that the programs themselves, and I'm talking about the trainings that they underwent, the webinars, et cetera, and the one-on-one trainings, and the face-to-face trainings physically there in Belize, how they found the trainings, and they thought the trainings themselves were okay and were good. But what we need to know is we asked them a short question in terms of what suggestions would you make to improve? And this is what I want to focus on, because we want to hear from you more frequently. What will help you teach Character Ed program more effectively so that it reaches your students? Overall, the teachers found the trainings to be helpful, but they've indicated they want more face-to-face trainings. Now, having been a teacher in public school, I understand. I taught in New York City. And so, yes, I too would want more training, face-to-face training. So in-person trainings. It's hard to do a training on a webinar in some ways that really reaches deep down to some of the needs. A second clear point that came out were the teachers want trainings geared to their grade level, not general. General is nice, but if you're teaching a first grade class, you want to hone in on what are the needs and how do I teach this content to a first grader or a fifth grader or whatever, however you are grouped in your particular school. How do I teach this to an 8-year-old or to a 10-year-old? So everyone, these two comments about in-person face-to-face trainings and geared to the grade level, age level, were mentioned by everyone on the survey. Everyone. Teachers also would like to have the means to share personalized lesson plans, videos, content that is being used within the individual classrooms. How to set that up and how for each of you to see what is my colleague down the road, down the hall doing? What are they doing? What kind of methods? How can I learn from them? Or at least watching the video of them teaching. So that we found to be a significant comment. Then one was more detailed, if you will, more detailed framework that includes the curriculum and the units. Again, this goes hand in hand with how do I teach this to my 10-year-olds classroom. And the detail is what really is the fullness of the curriculum and what are the individual units. The other comment that I found quite effective as a teacher was rubrics. Rubrics are the name of the game these days in education in schools everywhere I've gone. Every school I've consulted with, whatever the level, and this includes college level. So from the young age all the way up, rubrics are being used by teachers these days, more than they ever were when I started teaching. So for the different grades, what kind of rubrics are being suggested? Okay. More hands-on training sessions, that goes again with face-to-face. Feedback and assessment of lessons would be good. So in other words, this gets to a more personalized training effort. You know, if we were to share a video of what went on in the classroom, can we get feedback? Or can I get feedback on a higher level, at least a supervisory level, and an assessment of the lesson? You know, sometimes when you're in that classroom alone, you close the door, it's you and the kids, right? And you often, in our busy world today, if you have another job, you have your own family, you have things to prepare for the next day or the following week for the students, you often don't have time to seek out people who will give you feedback or who will take the time to assess what you did. Okay. And finally, a comment that I found very interesting was several people asked for videos, success stories, and personal experiences by the students. This is beyond the teacher's experience. They want to see how other students are experiencing what is being taught under the Character Ed program. I found that very, very good, very wise point. I'm not sure I would have thought about it. But this is the direction. You see the commonality here is how do we improve what we do in beyond the webinars to how can we help you on a more specific, direct level. So Alan and myself, Poppy, Isaac, Mrs. Elrington, we've taken this to heart very seriously. So we're hoping to be able to see how we can take these and run with them with you in the coming months and over the summer, what we might be able to do that's feasible and workable based on everyone's time and resources. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Winings. So you brought up many good points. We will be going into coaching sessions over the next several months. We'll be working with groups of 2 or 3 educators from Trinity School, and then we'll begin working with other educators from St. Martin's and other schools in the coming months. And this will all be in preparation for the summer workshops that we'll be doing. And as you'll notice today, there will be several presentations by different presenters, including our next presentation, which will be by Mrs. Barbara Elrington. And she will be presenting on the different character education programs and what we've done right there in Belize. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you for the introduction. A pleasant day to everyone. And what I am happy to share with you a little of what has been happening in Belize as regards the Character Development Education Initiative. And I want to look at the curriculum to kind of show how the character development program actually is consistent with the aims and objectives of and certainly the approaches of the national curriculum. Next. Firstly, we have the textbooks and the teachers' manuals and the students' textbooks. And I believe those of us who have been working with the program are very aware of those textbooks and the way they are structured. We began in just before July of 2022. We started, as a matter of fact, we were actually made aware of this program through the efforts of Mrs. Junko Yanai, who is a member of the World Federation World Peace, Women's Federation World Peace local organization in Belize City. And she was accompanied with a number of educators including persons like Reverend McGill, who were very aware of what the challenges were in the classroom, and what are some of the ways in which they would want to help to alleviate those challenges. And when they brought the documentation and their programs and their plans, I, being an educator myself, was quick to see that we do need to institute a program like this. And I think immediately we contacted Ministry of Education, and we did an orientation with them, and explained what we wanted to do and where we want to go in terms of our teachers being trained and getting credits for their training. We did leave a set of the books with them. And I am happy to say that since then, and during the time that we were looking to launch this initiative, Belize was reorganizing its curriculum, its national curriculum. And we're happy to see that values and virtues and principles has taken a major forefront in the curriculum outline or the curriculum framework. So having consciously decided to make the effort to do awareness and to provide the support, the orientation and support, this group of local persons, we launched our first initiative in July of 2022. Since then, we have had regular virtual planning sessions, and very regular indeed. I mean, sometimes it's every Friday evening. They are not necessarily long sessions, but they are deep planning sessions. And it is the opportunity for us to work directly with our counterparts, our international counterparts, in terms of planning and planning the implementation of the character development program. A very important aspect of this initiative is the training for the teachers. The training is done in two forms. There is the face-to-face training, which I believe we have had those every year, and the virtual training, which we have had, I believe, every quarter. These, as you heard from Kathy, have been found very helpful by teachers, and we believe in the training and support to teachers who are actually implementing the initiative. We're supported by the international team, like I said before, qualified and experienced writers, educators. We have the Universal Peace Federation arm, the Women's Federation for World Peace in Japan, as well as the local chapter here in Belize that supports the program. And we have very good contact and communication, and the Principled Academy Institute. So the program is well supported. The textbooks that we use, as a matter of fact, we just got in a new set of textbooks to augment the textbook supply at Trinity, and also to provide a set of textbooks for the staff at St. Martin de Porres Primary School. And it was courtesy of the Japan arm of the WFWP. We're very grateful for the assistance that they have been providing in procuring the texts and shipping them to us and getting them to us when we need them. Next slide, please. This is just a picture showing groups of our discussion groups, our workshop groups, and this is face-to-face groups. And we have been using Samuel Haynes Institute of Excellence for these sessions, but once our numbers increase, we can always use other facilities available to us. I believe the Methodist management is planning for us to extend the workshop to Methodist teachers. I'm not sure if only in Belize City or across the country. I guess if we're going to do that one, we'll have to find a space big enough to have our teachers. Next slide. And these are some of the faces in our Zoom meetings, and they are usually well attended, and the level of participation and contribution is quite high. Next slide. So then we were able to look at the national curriculum. That's the new national curriculum framework. I think it was just tried and tested in 2022, and it is being rolled out to all schools now. And the aims that they have, the work that we are doing is consistent with what the national curriculum is trying to do. They ask for high quality education for all students and to focus on competencies. And if you get your hand on one of the textbooks, you will find that, yes, all the cognitive and the affective domains are being looked at, as well as the competencies, being able to apply the skills in new situations is well covered in the textbooks, in the students' textbooks, as well as guided by the teachers' manuals. The stressing values and principles, and we know that values and principles stem from virtues, and we are, those are covered within our program. Certainly, one of the goals of our initiative is to ensure that our children can participate meaningfully in the life of the nation and to live harmoniously with others. And so many of the themes within our text address that aim or that issue. And of course, the ministry has produced a book or a program called Think Equal for infants. And again, we find that what the book that specifically looked at the infant division is doing is helping our children to develop virtues and to be able to lead good and healthy lives and have good relationships. So what we are presenting in the Character Education Development program is consistent with what the ministry has in mind and the country has set out as its main aims and goals for education. Next slide. And then I want to just briefly show you, share with you, because I have, and although I'm only using Trinity School, we hear the concerns that we want to be able to share what we are doing and find out what others are doing and so on. And I particularly look at one of the stories in the Discovering the Real Me book, chapter for grades 5 to 8, and chapter 7, page 37. And it had spelled out, it's clearly what its goals are, its objectives. Could we go back? Yes. First of all, to understand the concept of melting pot. And depending on the children you're working with and the age group, there are other concepts that are also used, like I believe we do the quilt. The quilt is used to also bring up, to show and to get children actively engaged by putting the pieces of a quilt together, a patchwork quilt together. They begin to understand how the pieces fit in and how people working together, not only to put the quilt together, but also the the picture, what you get, what you're left with, the product, is in fact a good thing. And so the melting pot, understanding the wrongness and of judging people and the prejudices, feel repelled by the idea. Of course, the first two are your cognitive coming on, your affective being, feel repelled by the idea of judging others and feel motivated to find out more about people of different culture, ethnicity and abilities. These are all objectives in this particular lesson, which are in fact identified within the national curriculum. And then to look at the actual skill and what the national curriculum call competencies, we want to move to the next level where they can actually begin to appreciate, meet people from different ethnicity, and to actually treat them in accordance to virtues and values that we have been helping them to develop over a period of time. So the actual going out, and depending on the group you're working with, because if you're working with a higher level group of children, children can actually go out and meet persons within their community and not only demonstrate. Sometimes in some classrooms, the whole cultural discourse is centered around the outfit that they wear, the dances, the food they eat, and so on. But the whole matter of tolerance, the whole matter of dealing with prejudices and so on must come out and must be part of the learning activity within the classroom. And also, if you're working with infants, chances are you probably will be working more towards tolerance. And when you go, as you go higher up, you will find that the youth might have already developed some habits or some prejudices which you have to work on to get them to want to change those habits and so on. So even when you're working with the children, the program, the lesson, you need to bear this in mind, that the younger ones is more a preventative, and the older ones, you might have to look at some of the curative things in dealing with a lesson like the melting pot. And a lesson like this also allows for all the integration that the national curriculum talks about, the language aspect, the arts, vocabulary, civics. Older children could go into immigration and what's the benefits of immigration and so on, and the challenges, and into religion and history and so on. Next slide, please. This story was also dealt with at Trinity, and I was very pleased with the performance of the students, and they seem to have performed with just guidance, not too much prompting from the teacher. We all know the story. The lion was trapped. Well, the mouse was caught first. The lion was trapped. The lion was merciful, allowed the mouse to get away with the promise that the mouse will help sometime. At some point in time, the lion perhaps wondered how a little mouse could help him, but nevertheless, the mouse remembers and the mouse returned to keep the promise. So the child was all tied up and so on, and there's the mouse, and I am sorry I could not get the audio on, but the tiger did ask how a little mouse like you could help. And so the competencies then will be understanding kindness and mercy, feel inspired to help others, identify and appreciate kindness. Sometimes this is very lacking in some of our behaviors. We might identify, but we not appreciate and the extent to which a person has gone in order to provide that assistance or that kindness. So these are some of the competencies that could come out of a lesson like this one. And certainly for the children to be able to use opportunities to render kindness within their own setting. And certainly you can map out what they, if they have had opportunities at home and in their own communities to do that kind of thing. And of course, in terms of the methodology, you have the integration again. The children, they read, they dramatize, and they practice. And these are all things that our curriculum is pushing. The new curriculum is pushing, and our books, our stories, the whole format of the lesson is set up to bring out these competencies. So there's no conflict in terms of what this program is doing and what the curriculum is requiring. Next slide, please. I actually used this one with some young people, and I was amazed at the level, the depth of discussion that came out of it. The children were not only motivated to discuss and debate, but also to go and do further research. And soon their vocabulary, they had taken on new vocabulary. They were talking about the moral compass. They were talking about impacting the world, their community and their world. All the discussions and the new terminology they were very excited about. And certainly the additional information they learned about virtues and how virtues guide religious groups, organizations, and so on. And so the virtues, and then it's not only enough to read about them or to learn about them, but it is very important to put them into practice. And they were able to identify situations that they thought that they were putting into practice. For example, a child said, well, when I see the man and he asks me for money and I think that he's going to buy drugs, I don't give it to him. And that led to all levels of discussion. How do we know? Are we judging? And then the state of mind of the person, and things like that. And so it is very important that we use whatever technology, whatever visual and audio is available to just stimulate our children. Sometimes without words, the children themselves organize and they can bring out some of the goals and ideas that you would like to see them bring out. So it is very important to think of the various ways in which you can use the material that is being presented to you for the different age group of children that you're operating with. Next slide, please. And forward planning, we are still working on trying to obtain credit for the teachers' professional development. We are keeping track of persons who attend our training sessions, the number of hours and so on, so that once we have the go-ahead from the ministry, we can then have these credits applied toward our teachers' professional development record. We are opening up to include other schools and other community groups. We just recently reached out to St. Martin de Porres. I believe we did reach out to a few other schools, but they are a little hesitant in coming forward. But certainly, I believe that if we can reach out to their management, we should have more buy-in for this program. We want to work for closer collaboration with the school management, like I said, and the Ministry of Education, and in particular, the Teacher Learning Institute. And we have been in touch with Ms. Jeannie. She does the in-service teachers. And then we have the other group of teachers who are involved in the Teacher Learning Institute. So we want to assist the Teacher Learning Institute. Basically, that's the presentation. And I hope I have explained or share with you some of what we are doing and where we are at and where we plan to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Arrington. She's our champion there in Belize. She's our senior advisor for the program. She's the principal of the Samuel Haynes Institute for Excellence and also works very hard in the Methodist Church in general and has been a mentor for the teachers that we've had so far. And also she's always present. She comes to the vast majority of our Friday night meetings, which I know at the end of the week is not easy. And if there's any issue, she will deal with it. And she's our main connecting point with meeting as we did with Jeannie Garbart and others at the Ministry of Education. So she's working on a lot of different levels, and she's a proud parent and grandparent as well. And
thank you, Alan.
Person of incredible integrity and character. So our next presentation then is on Pallotti High School, and that presentation I don't see Janet Pandy on right now. If you can see her, Pierre, let me know, but I don't see her. So I'll go and introduce, go ahead and introduce.
Someone said here on behalf of St. Martin de Porres is Juanita Bob.
Okay, that's a different school. So I'll just go ahead and introduce our counselor there. Full screen. So Pierre will be showing a video. Janet Pandy has worked in school for 25 years, has taught at the primary, tertiary level, and she is a high school teacher, business teacher, as a postgraduate diploma in management and education leader and a master's in business management. So she's the main advisor then for the program, but also at the Pallotti High School. But the actual video you'll hear is from Anari Kanul, and she's a school counselor and life skills teacher at Pallotti High School, which I believe is an all-girls school. She's originally from the San Antonio Rio Hondo Village, lives in Orange Walk Town, attended Judson University in Elgin, Illinois, which is where my wife is from, which is part of the Midwest, and graduated with a bachelor's in psychology. She's very passionate about bringing awareness to the importance of mental health well-being among children and teenagers, which is a huge issue. If you follow any of the school shootings, a lot of times it goes back to mental health issues. She has interned with organizations such as AMITA, which is the Alexian Brothers Behavioral Hospital, and Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA, and she's pursuing a master's degree in clinical psychology and behavioral therapy. Past years as counselor at the all-girls school, she has been full of new experiences and blessed to be able to do what she loves. She's the oldest of 4 sisters and greatly enjoys reading, nature, spending time with her loved ones. So Pierre, could you put up that video from the Pallotti High School, please?
Hello, good day to everyone. My name is Anai Kanu. I am currently the school counselor and life skills teacher at Pallotti High School in Belize City. I have been given the privilege to share about my experience with the resources that we have been given. And I am very thankful to Ms. Pandy, who has been a great assistance to us. And she was the one that introduced me to the Discovering the Real Me, the teacher's manual and the student's manual. And I want to share about how that has been helping me a lot with our curriculum this year. Specifically because we work at an all-girls school and we teach girls in first and second year of high school. So we like to introduce those important topics that I believe are very helpful to them in order for them to prepare them not only when it comes to academics, but with emotional regulation and learning about themselves, career planning, preparing for after high school, family dynamics, their community. So these books have been a great assistance to me. After the whole COVID pandemic and our education system also receiving a lot of new changes, I believe as school counselors, we try to really keep up, get support from others so that we can be able to assist our girls as best as possible. And one of the things I wanted to share is that I am glad that we can use these resources to be able to guide us as school counselors. I believe all over the world, here in Belize and other countries, the amount of work and different activities we have had to do in order to best assist our students has been a lot, specifically because we have experienced a lot of increase in mental health illnesses and girls who are going through depression and different changes and how the pandemic has impacted all the changes in the communities. I believe we currently have a lot of issues with bullying and respect to authority, and being able to us assist them as best as possible has been a challenge. So I am thankful that I can be able to share, and then I can learn from everyone to be able to best assist our students. I apologize for not being live on today, but I had some issues I had to do. So I am glad I can at least share with you all about my experience. One of the main purposes this year, as mentioned, is that the resources are not being used completely to teach just discovering the real me in general, but we're using it to teach our girls about the different topics in first and second form, which is their first and second year here in high school. Those are the topics I teach in life skills class. And the guide has served me a lot with the worksheets. I believe they have been helpful with guiding me on how I can best prepare myself for lesson planning. And the activities in that book have been wonderful because I am able to currently plan and execute as best as possible with them. The girls have been loving it, specifically because I believe one of the things I like as a teacher and school counselor is that I not only teach the girls and have them learn about it, but I also learn from them. So creating that space where they can be themselves and share their opinions and their experiences has been something that I appreciate, that I believe the book is able to introduce that to them, that talking about their emotions and talking about who they are and learning about themselves can open different doors. And not only it's about learning about different topics and writing them down and taking it home and then having to do activities. The main topics I believe this year that has been integrated is mostly the self-actualization part and being able to learn about self-growth and how the different aspects of those topics like bullying, respect, learning about their families, learning about themselves, has actually helped them to be able to grow and learn from each other in the classroom and take that to better portray who they are as a person. There are girls from ages between 12 all the way to 16. So sometimes, coming from different backgrounds and coming from different areas, all of them have a different way of coping and a different way of understanding who they are and then what they're trying to accomplish. So that has been a really good thing for me to be able to learn from them and see how they actually take in the information and use that to learn about who they are. And sometimes you get surprised at how they actually don't really understand a certain topic and they want to know more. So they're able to share with each other and then even take that when they go home because they want to learn about their families and, well, this is why this happens at home, or this is why this happens to me. I have loved that it portrays and it focuses a lot on the self part of learning who they are, because I believe that's where everything starts when it comes to coping and learning how to control who they are, control their emotions, and be able to not only control but cope with it and understand who they are so they can better use that not only when it comes to school, but also in all the settings they are able to go to, at their workplace, one day with their families, understanding why this person behaves that way and understanding why do I talk about it, why do I get triggered about this certain area, because I believe trauma has been a major part in what we have been going on through the past years. And dealing with those things has helped me to also be able to analyze and learn from who they are so I can better assist them in counseling sessions and in class as well. It's surprising how much these girls want to share and how much they want to tell, but it's difficult to be able to have them open up to share from their experience. So I believe this books will really guide them to be able to do that. Coming from an all-girls school as well, I believe girls are more open to receiving, you know, that help that they need. So that has been something that I myself have been noticing a lot, that they are more open to understanding and learning from the activities and being able to use that for different things. And the worksheets are amazing because I believe I love that there is a teacher's manual and a student's manual because I can guide myself from each other. And the worksheets really help them to be able to process more and understand more about the different materials and the topics, because I can tell they enjoy doing them and they enjoy actually, it's easy for them to understand and it's easy for them to actually read from it and get the information and be able to bring back their questions to me. I know this has been just the start of a new year and then we're all trying to figure out different things. So I appreciate the assistance and appreciate all the help we can get. And as I can tell, I hope that this material can be able to be useful not only with these two first and second farm girls, but maybe in the future as we integrate more life skills lessons, that we can use it for our junior and senior students, probably in the upcoming years, to be able to, for us to create an actual plan and be able to use that to assist us and guide us as teachers, life skills teachers, to get the girls to actually get those topics and knowledge that they need to be able to be good citizens and be able to actually learn about themselves, be self-aware of who they are, and then be able to take that wherever they go. So I hope that I can continue sharing about my experience and probably be able to present more about how specifically they have learned from that material and resource. And I'm hoping to do that through data gathering, which usually we do at mid of every year and the end of every year, to see how those topics have impacted them in different ways. But I have been able to tell from my experience, they have been a good guide, not only to me, but to students. And I encourage you all to keep doing a wonderful job, because I know it takes a lot to be able to teach others, but it's worth it. And it shows a lot about how we learn from them and how they learn from us. And I am thankful for the opportunity to be able to use it and be able to share about how the resources and these two guides, the manuals, have been able to help me here with life skills lessons in high school, and then how I hope I can continue integrating it into further lessons in the upcoming years. So thank you. And if there's any questions, and won't be able to answer it here, but you can always reach out to me or Miss Fandy, and then we can go ahead and answer all the questions that you might have. Thank you, and I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Pierre, for showing that video. This is the next level of the character development. The first level is in some ways marginally easier in the earlier years, but once you get into the teens and older teenage years in high school, then obviously the elements of interpersonal communication skills and all the other issues come about. So This is the next level that we're breaking through now in Belize, and we'll be expanding into other high schools as we develop the program. So if you have any questions at the moment, if you could put them in the chat, and to any of the presenters to this point, obviously, Kathy, Barbara, and I, we don't have anybody on right now from the high school, but if Janet Pandy joins us later, we'll also highlight her. While you're typing those questions in, I will mention part of the foundation for the work that we do has been through Dr. Mose Durst. He's one of the main professors working with Kathy, and he wrote this book, How Families, Schools, and Communities Raise Good Children. This is a book that I'll put in the chat. And his son, Dr. Durst's son, Isaac, is one of our main coordinators of the Principal Academy that you'll hear about a little bit later from Poppy Ritchie. So let's see. Yeah, if you'd like to make a comment, you can also use the raise hand, and I'll see that. While we're waiting for those, as our time is moving on, I don't see any hands raised right now. Don't be shy. The only ridiculous question is the question that you don't ask, so you don't have to worry about asking something that you may think is not relevant. As we're waiting for this, we'll begin the questions for your breakout session, which will be starting in a few minutes. The first is, what did you learn from these presentations? What was interesting? What is pertinent for your work? Pierre is now just putting those in the chat. The next question is, what did you learn from what has worked well for the teachers at Trinity, at least? The new teachers, obviously, this won't be pertinent to you, but what has worked well with the curriculum to this point? The third question is, what are the challenges? Then the next couple of questions are, what are your action steps and plans? What are your goals and plans over the next weeks and months? And then the final question is, what are you going to do on Monday when you walk back into your classroom and are facing 30 wonderful young people? And what are you going to use, and how are you going to use this material? So as I don't see any hands being raised right now, we will go to the breakouts, and then we'll hear from more teachers in the second session. Mr. Jamal Campbell will be giving a presentation along with Dalia Rivero. And then we have a new famous international writer who's published her book on fascinating cats presenting this afternoon. That my wife really loved the pictures of and the paintings of. And then to wrap up, we'll have Mrs. Poppy Ritchie talking about the new website, the valuesandvirtues.org, and giving some sample lessons. Do you have anything you wanted to add to those questions, Kathy, that I may have not added?
No, just, in the discussion, we want you to be able to talk as directly as you can about how this applies to you in the class age that you teach. That helps us the most as well.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about hurting anybody's feelings. I don't have any, according to my wife. So don't worry too much. Okay. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. I hope you had positive sharing. We'll have another breakout session at the end of this session. This afternoon, we'll be talking about how the books have been used, what's the initiative, what is the response from some of the students. And to begin with, we'll have Jamal Campbell, who's been a teacher for many years, as well as the current principal of Trinity Methodist School. And he has the unusual situation of working with all female teachers. So I admire your efforts coming in to work every day and dealing with all that estrogen. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. And very few will realize the strength that goes into that, but thank you very much. What we're doing at we were introduced to these books at our yesterday, I think in 2002, so somewhere around in September 2002. And so that's when we were introduced to the books, and we decided at some point later, I think in October, that we're going to run with the program and try to see how we could. But where we are today, like you heard earlier from Mrs. Elrington, our curriculum was revitalized, and so there's a new curriculum. And so from that curriculum, in the vision, it states that students will also acquire skills such as tolerance, humility, and collaboration, all these things that they want the skills that they want students to acquire. As well as from the objective, it says that we should provide students with values and attitudes prized by society that will make them good and productive citizens. And then our curriculum values have things like unity, diversity, hospitality, responsibility, and in our key learning area, we look at religion and personal leadership. So that is where we embed character education for this school year. And so when we look at the schedule, for most classes, it requires that there's 2 hours per week of leadership and religion. So what we did at Trinity is that we split leadership and religion with giving the teacher the option. So we have a L&R subject, leadership and religion, and we gave the teacher the decision to make the decision as to which one they'll use for religion and which one they'll use for character education. And this is provided also that the ministry doesn't release a set of units for leadership as yet, so we can do what we need to do in that subject. So that's where we fit in with character education. So what that looks like for us, for our teachers, is that they have the books, they have access to the books, and these books have a full planning. So just like how the ministry sends us units that we're to execute, this book now becomes all units that we execute in our classroom. So teachers will go through it, they discuss by division, and they pick what subject, what topic they'll be teaching from the books, and they execute that block of teaching in their lesson with the stories and the skills, the virtues that the students get from those topics. I had a video here that I could show, but we'll see how we can get that in as we go along in the session. But what I want to say is that I want to wrap up with saying that we needed more books in the school. For some reason, we have to make presentation with our books, and our main book, we have one book that runs for the whole school, and it got lost. And we had to divert for this January to focus on some of the church requirements that we had. So we mainly focused on religion. And I was telling in the breakout session that I smile and laugh at the earlier session because I realized that virtues are so important. While we took it on from 2002, we had a calmer behavior. Now, I don't know if that's related to them coming out of COVID and all of that, but behavioral issues went down. And for some reason, I don't know if it correlates with us losing the books and needing more books at this time, we have a lot of behavioral issues coming up. So I told the breakout group, it will be interesting to see now that we get back the books and we're starting to focus back on the content in the books, if we will have a lesser log of behavioral issues. So I am looking forward to see how the behavior will turn out going ending of February into March. So that I'm excited to see if we will have this direct correlation. And then we, of course, we can definitely cheer on character education as we move along. But that's what we're doing at Trinity. The teachers are excited. We see them every week taking out their students, role playing, having them participate in these discussions, exactly what our curriculum calls for. These books captured that essence. So thank you.
We can't hear you, Alan.
You're muted, Mr. Sanders. You're still muted, Mr. Sanders.
I think I hear him low.
What I see, can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamal. Yeah, there's always a lot of challenges, and it will be very interesting to see if the behavioral issues go down, which I've seen in other schools. So thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Dahlia, and then a little bit later, we'll try and show your video. If you could email it to me, I can send it on to Pierre, and we'll see if we can show it. Okay, Dahlia, are you with us? There you are. Okay, the floor is yours, ma'am. She's one of the teachers from the very beginning who have been attending the training sessions for the last 2 years, and she's one of our strongest supporters and a wonderful participant in each of the teacher trainings. Go ahead, Ms. Rivera, the floor is yours.
Alan, I think Ms. Rivera was out on sick leave. Her voice is totally gone. I'm not sure if we'll be able to hear her at this time.
Okay. All right. Okay, if that is the case, then we shall move on. So next up, we have Andrea Gentile. She is the author of 4 books, has been a teacher. Let me find her bio. She has taught all grade levels at the primary level and is currently a first grade teacher. As I mentioned, she is the author of 4 books. 2 of them I have a copy of. One is A Fascinating Cat, and the other is I See in Colors. She enjoys being a teacher, welcomes an opportunity to be involved in humanitarian work, enjoys alone time, listening to music, and is always eager to put something in the oven. And I have had the good fortune of tasting her cookies, which are really excellent during our workshops. Andrea, the floor is yours.
I'm
If
here,
you would
thank
like-
you. What, are you
Okay.
going to play that video? Are you going to play
Yeah, we
that?
can play the video and then you can speak after that, okay? Pierre,
Let's
please play
do
her
that.
video.
Greetings, everyone. I want to first of all say a hearty thank you to the principals of this initiative for having afforded me the opportunity to share about my
Very low. It's very low.
that I had launched in December.
Pierre, can you make it louder?
Of last year. How is it relevant to this character education webinar? Or is it even? Well, I suppose I can in fact convince you that it is very relevant. These two children's storybooks, The Fascinating Cat and I Seen Colors, tie in very well with this initiative, since a few of the 12 virtues are being brought out in these two stories. The Fascinating Cat centers around a cat, the main character Tisby, whom is a great ballerina. But as with most initiatives or disciplines, we are not always at our best. She struggled to perfect her practice in preparation for a grand showcasing. On her family's part, they provided the virtues of friendship, courage, through their encouragement. Pipsy herself held on to hope whilst being patient with herself, reassuring herself that she would have improved to give a remarkable impression of herself. In the story I Seen Colors, this legally blind child from a small family and school peers with big hearts made him feel equally valued as he navigated both his home and school environment. He depended on everyone around him in order to function at his full potential daily. After some medical and technological intervention, he was able to see. The child went on to describing everything in his everyday environment, just the way his parents, brother, and peers had always described them to him. He was most grateful that he was able to see and thank them all for their compassion, friendship, respect, and for their patience. To you all, The Fascinating Cat and I Seen Colors. Thank you.
And Andrea, if you'd like to make some comments of how you've used some of the materials and what are your plans?
Okay, so yes, of course, this here are the 12 virtues. And when Mr. Alan and Mr. Isaac inquired about the books, I didn't realize, of course, I knew what the central idea and what the stories were all about, but I managed to take another look and saw exactly how several of the virtues which were mentioned in the video clip, actually they came out. And so my plans for the my plans for continuing with the character education is, for instance, yesterday, again, if I can borrow Mrs. Arrington mentioning earlier in her presentation, the how they think equal, what we use as at the lower division, it parallels with what this whole character education is geared towards achieving. And so from yesterday's lesson of showing kindness, we have I devised a way of how we could involve the students and let them understand why is kindness important and how we can make it infectious. Like, I do good for this person, it makes them feel a certain way, you know, in the affective, it impacts them in a certain way. And they in turn, you know, it's like the little light bulb comes on. You doing this makes me feel this way. If I can do this simple thing for, you know, things within your means, of course, and that we take for granted, and how it can help, and the ripple effect, the domino effect can one to the other, and it goes towards being good humans, being helpful, respect, and all that. So to clearly say what I plan to do is just, I want to find some time to delve into the materials more, look at the books, see what I can use to improvise and to make it more alive, like creating materials and so on, because the babies, it's like I enjoyed picture books, and you could read this book, and then you would flip, and that was like in 19, I don't remember. But now because of technology and sorts, they want more, they simply want more. So to keep to have them to be more engaging and to have them directly involved is what are some of my intentions that I hope to put into this character education moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. Pierre, I just sent you a video. If you could bring that up from Jamal by email.
Didn't come in yet.
Okay, very good. So as we've heard, there are different ways that the books are being used. We'll show that video in a little while, but right now we'll go to
I have
Mrs. Poppy
two
Ritchie.
you sent 2 videos.
Yeah, just the one on the first one. Do you have that?
Okay. Let me see. Okay.
How does the narrator show that she loves herself?
Because she doesn't care what other students talk about her.
All right. Anyone else has an answer? Michelle?
She don't care what the other students say about her knowledge.
Any other answer? Hannah?
She does not. She loves herself because she, even though they call her, that if she plays basketball.
All right, that's it. All right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Pierre. Thank you, Jamal. So that was just one of the brief videos that we'll work on with some editing. So now we'll go to Mrs. Poppy Ritchie. She has been an author for the Discovering the Real Me curriculum. She is also writing for several groups right now. And she has been a teacher at the Principal Academy Institute and first grade level. And she's also taught and worked with a lot of young adult programs. And she's been one of my major training coordinators for the development of the initiative in the Caribbean and Pacific areas. And she's always a person who gives a phenomenal amount of effort and support. Mrs. Ritchie, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Okay, let me just. All right. I've been asked to, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate the effort that all of you are making to take care of the younger generation, of the children. It's so moving to hear Andrea share about her books and all the effort that she's making as a teacher and writer. And the rest of you in the classrooms, it's hopefully we can create a big transformation for the kids that are growing up in this world today. So the title of my presentation is Beyond Discovering the Real Me. Many of you at this workshop are familiar with this. Some of you aren't, but I can see that you're interested in it. We have a ongoing curriculum development and creating a new online character education curriculum. Like the Discovering the Real Me, it's story-based with lesson objectives, guiding questions, and activities that help teachers make the virtue come alive for the students. And our goal, as the goal is in Discovering the Real Me, is to inspire positive, observable behavior changes based on students' grasp of the virtue and their understanding of how to practice it, which is the challenge we as character educators have. We want the kids to be able to understand, and we want to observe behavior changes. What's really different about this curriculum is that it's all online and therefore accessible without the need of teacher guides and student workbooks. On the website, there are 12 featured virtues, which are here: cooperation, respect, gratitude, compassion, patience, hope, courage, wonder, responsibility, integrity, friendship, and service. There are more virtues than that, but these are the 12 that we selected to highlight. There are also links to read aloud books for 4 different grade levels. Pre-K and kindergarten, which are 4 and 5-year-olds, grades 1 and 2, 6 and 7-year-olds, grades 3 and 4, 8 and 9-year-olds, and grades 5 and 6, 10 and 11-year-olds. So each book on this website has companion content, which includes a summary of the story, the definition of the virtue, lesson objectives, and guiding questions. This is similar to the format of Discovering the Real Me, but these are new stories that you won't find, in most of them anyway, in Discovering the Real Me. And also, hopefully, they're more diverse than the stories in Discovering the Real Me. So I'm going to take you on a little trip to the virtues. So if I'm a pre-K kindergarten teacher and I'm interested in teaching about respect, I'll click on respect and the grade level, preschool and kindergarten. And right here are the titles of the books, 4 books that are on the topic of respect for this age group. And I'll choose this one, Words Are Not for Hurting. You want to read the story with your class. And there it is, the video of the story. Let me just move this over here so I can, okay. So here's the read aloud video. I won't go ahead and play it, but I hope that you will try this out. It's available to anybody who wants to try it. And I want, as a teacher, I want to understand how do I teach about the book? So I go to companion content. And in that is the definition of respect for 4- and 5-year-olds, which is caring about others by using good manners and showing kindness. And then the summary. This book gives examples of hurtful words and how it makes us feel when we say or hear them. It also explains what we can do about hurtful words when we've said something we regret or when we've heard something that hurt us. We can remind ourselves daily of the main message in the story. Your words can hurt or your words can help. So again, that's for the teacher's benefit. The lesson objectives, we want students to demonstrate more awareness and kindness in choosing their words. They're more confident about saying sorry or asking for help when it's needed. And also a note for teachers, this book has a lot of good information in it that teachers can reinforce through lots of discussion all through the year. Because respect is such like a foundational virtue. And then with every book, there are 10 questions. I'll skip down to question number 8. How do you feel when you hear helpful words? How do you feel when you hear hurtful words? Number 9 and number 10. What can you say when you've said hurtful words? What can you do when someone says hurtful words? And once again, it's the effort is to get students to not respond with yes or no answers, but to really think about what this virtue of respect really means. And then we'll go to the list of virtues. I'll do one more example. How about virtue of integrity? So if I'm a teacher for 1st and 2nd grade, I'll choose that one. And then here are the book titles. And I'll choose a well-known one. How about Pinocchio? Read the story. Again, these books are really wonderfully illustrated and the narration is very, very good. So there's the story, and then I want to go to the companion content. Definition of integrity for this age group: being honest and responsible and respectful all the time, whether or not people can see what you're doing. And then the summary of the story, you're all very familiar with this, I'm sure. It's all about listening to the conscience. In the lesson objectives, students will be more aware of the voice of the conscience and will make better choices as a result. And number 2, this is a good opportunity to assign students to journal for a week or 2 about their experiences with their conscience, writing down what it tells them in order to gain new awareness of its existence. For a lot of kids this age, they might not be able to write about this, but at least they can draw pictures. I have a picture journal, and teachers can provide a word wall with words that they can write on their pictures that would go with the kinds of stories they might tell about their conscience. And then to be added, it's not here right now, but to be added will be an activity that would go with this particular theme. And skipping down to question 9, do you think it's okay to not tell the truth? Why or why not? And again, it's not a yes or no answer we're trying to promote we want kids to really think about this. And maybe someone will say, well, I think it's okay to not tell the truth. And then you can explore that together with the class. And number 10, have you ever gotten into trouble for not telling the truth? What happened? Or what happened when you were honest and told the truth, even though it was difficult? So again, these are questions to stimulate good discussions with the children. I'll go back to the home page. I just want to give you this brief introduction to this new curriculum, and I really hope that again, it's very accessible. Anyone can go to it anytime, anywhere, if you have, as long as you have access to the internet, and try it out. We'd love to get some feedback if you do. So I think Alan will let us know how you can do that. Thank you very much again for all your hard work and teaching and for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Poppy. Poppy's been the main writer for the Values and Virtues program. We are looking for other content for activities, especially. So if there's different activities that you have done before in relation to any of these types of stories that we could add and be able to share with other teachers, they will be placed online. The nice element of this type of online program, which is where a lot of education is going these days, is that it can be adjusted, it can be edited, and it can be added to, obviously. So one of the challenges we see with regular books is once you've printed them and you've printed 1,000 or 10,000 or even 100,000 run, that's it. You've got the books. There's not a lot else you can do. Obviously, you can add certain things in when you're teaching, but the books are still the books, whereas these can be, again, edited and upgraded. Okay, so I'll open the floor up for any questions. If you can raise your hand. There's a raise. If you see along the bottom there, you'll see next to the lower area, there's a raise hands function for Mr. Campbell or for Poppy or for Andrea Gentile. And Pierre's just put a put the section in the lower part of the chat. It's along the bottom there, next to towards the right hand side. So if you have any questions, especially any of the newer teachers who are just getting familiar with this material. Okay, well, don't be shy. There's it's better to have some ideas. So based on that, we will now go to our breakout sessions for a 15-minute period, Pierre. So if you could open up. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Again, thank you for all your thoughts and ideas. We'll go through each of the groups to begin with. Dr. Winings, any comments from your breakout sessions, from your participants?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had a nice discussion. One, we talked on the level of initially in the first session about the effect that having the books now will help. Jamal was very helpful with that, and noting having those resources will help the teachers quite a bit. Two things that came out, Mrs. Elrington, Barbara talked about the language we use. And she says, especially in character ed, there's a tendency to use the term instill. We're going to instill in them. And she reminded us that it's not a question of instilling, it's a question of helping bring out, you know, their nature, the better side of their nature, things like that. And that was a good distinction. And in this last session, also in that session, Jamal talked about how he saw when character ed was being taught, the difference in discipline of the students. The disciplinary issues had gone down. And then when they didn't have the resources, it went up a little bit. So I thought that was excellent to understand. Then in the second session, Janet talked about, you know, the challenges of working in with high school students, the older students, 11, 12-year-olds, and waiting for the materials to come out on the website that will offer training materials for those who are teaching the older students, and not just focus on the young ones. So that was a good comment to bring. Also, finally, there was a wonderful discussion in the first session about the work of the YMCA, how the young woman that works there and her responsibilities. And since that the focus in these after-school programs and during the summertime break is totally on character education, and reminded me of my own experience growing up with the YMCA. So I thought it was a great fit for this, as a great conversation partner and support and colleague, as a group of us doing character education, and not to forget the YMCA. So I appreciated the conversations that we had.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, the YMCA, the YWCA, those are locations that we can definitely work with, particularly over the summer and in after school programs as well. And I believe Barbara is in touch with one of the coordinators of that program, and maybe will come on for the next session. Group number 2, I believe that's you, Poppy Ritchie.
Okay, we had some really wonderful discussions in our group, and some people who are new to our webinars, including someone from the YMCA. And I ditto what Kathy was saying. It looks, I think it's a great fit because the focus is on character education already in the YMCA. So really looking forward to them getting a hold of the materials. We had some teachers and the principal from St. Martin's School. I don't know I forgot the complete name of the school, but Dawn Wade and some others from the school were in my group. We talked about how to use the character education curriculum practically in their devotion. Every day they have devotion sessions, and they have a monthly assembly. So these are great opportunities. And one of the teachers said they're going to use the Pinocchio story, the new online curriculum, the Pinocchio story, on Monday. We talked about, well, what are you going to do on Monday? And she said that's what she's going to do. So anyway, the overall experience, I think, was very positive from all of our group members. And we had I'm looking forward to our next webinar together with everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Poppy. Yeah, very good comments. We're glad to have Dawn Wade with us, who I believe is the principal there at St. Martin's School. And we'll be working with you, especially towards the summertime when we do our in-person training in August. As per, we'll be doing other webinars. So in my group, I had Carmen and Mrs. Yanai, who runs one of the best sushi restaurants in Belize. If you haven't been there, definitely I would go there. And I would like Mrs. Oliveira. She made some comments on how she can use the materials in language arts and other classes. Would you like to share, Ms. Oliveira?
Good afternoon. So while we were in that group chat, we spoke about how, because of the time limit that is allocated for the can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You're good.
All right. Good afternoon. Yes, we spoke about the time constraint that some teachers may have as it relates to teaching the actual character value. However, I believe that it can be incorporated with other subjects, in particular
for us language arts, because we can use the different stories to incorporate comprehension skills, parts of speech, doing poem writing, and different things like that. I share that this week I use the character value I am valuable at my standard 4, which is grade 6 level, right? And as a result of that, my children have to write a short poem about how they believe they are valuable, right? About how they are valuable.
Mhm.
So it can be incorporated within your language arts sessions, and you can use it even maybe in a social studies lesson, so to speak, right? Because while I know that we use it, like I said, specific times, I think one of the biggest issue that you all have is how much times or how much contact hours do we have with it for the week, and as a result of that, it can be used in we learn about incorporation when it comes to about teaching. So incorporation for me is always a big thing.
Very good. Yeah, it's true. Social studies, history, literature, there's a lot of different areas, language arts, definitely. Those are areas where you're dealing with things like value. What is someone's value, self-respect, self-esteem, self-efficacy, identity. Those are all areas that we can do in more detail. And again, what we'll be doing in the coming weeks and months is going into training sessions, coaching sessions with Dr. Winings, Poppy, Isaac, and I. We'll be offering those in small groups of 2 or 3, and we'll be exploring how we've used this type of material, not only in courses in religion or leadership, but yes, many other subjects. Okay, next up, I'd like to invite Janet Pandy. Are you with us? All right. Janet, yes. Would you like to make any comments from your work there at Pelote High School with Ms. Cannell? You're muted. You're muted still, Janet.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I had an opportunity to speak with her and to ask how the book has been helpful. And she was very elated. She had been using the activities in her class, in her life skills class, for the first and second farmers. First and second farmers would be the 9th and 10th grade students. It is very helpful, she said. And when I asked the question if it would be beneficial or she would need some more resources, she said she would appreciate any other resource that would have, so she's able to incorporate in her class. She found it very helpful. The idea also is that we're able to take it not only to the first and second farmers, but also to the 3rd and 4th, which would be the 11th and 12th grade students. Especially the 12th grade. The 12th grade students, apart from just getting ready to move on to junior colleges, they go on what is referred to as work experience. And some of the values that she have found there in those activities would be, she would appreciate if she would be able to have activities like those and exercises like those with those older students once the opportunity is there. Now, the school does not offer life skills to 3rd and 4th farmers, but she said, Mrs. Stanley, it is very important that it does not end there, but it is something that continues, because not all the time they are practicing what it is that they have learned. And so reinforcement is always important. Reinforcement is always necessary. That was her comment. The vice principal Mrs. Lamb expressed her gratitude also for the resources, and that the school counselor found it very helpful. Is finding it very helpful. Thanks very much.
Very good. Thank you for your, go ahead.
I wasn't here. I wasn't on as yet when you played the video. Was it clear?
Yeah, it was very clear and the sound was really good and wonderful, wonderful picture. So please thank her for doing that. And thank you for your efforts there, and especially with the principal and VP. So we'll talk in more detail. I will mention one of the materials that I use that I think would be especially important for well, I think all the different forms, 9th grade through 12th grade, but I do use this resource. It's a book on relationships. And in this book, it talks about, the title is Why Do Fools Fall in Love? I'll send it out in an email to you, Janet, and to others. And that deals with experiencing the magic, mystery, and meaning of successful relationships. And it talks about what is love. And a lot of times at that age, young girls and young guys are interested in, obviously, they're in relationships, but they don't really know what love is. They have a lot of different perspectives on what love is. Even as adults, we're still trying to figure some of that out ourselves. So, and that's one of the key elements that I think at that age, they're very impressionable and they can go in one direction or they can go in a very more challenging direction. And unfortunately, many times, at least in the urban areas here, young girls and young guys get involved in very high risk activities. So I will send that information out to everyone. Also, you're welcome. So are there any other thoughts anybody would like to make before I go to Carmen Gomez? Okay, well, thank you all for joining. If you could turn on your cameras, we'll be taking some photos in a few moments. But our initiative is funded by volunteers from the Women's Federation for World Peace in Japan and also there in Belize. I've worked with Women's Fed at the highest levels of government internationally at the United Nations. They are one of the very important areas of work, especially in developing countries. So Pierre, would you like to take some photos? Kathy has to go in a minute and then I'll go to Carmen in just a moment. So please turn on your cameras, everybody. We have many people without their cameras on. We can't see you. There we go, Miss Reverend McGill. Mimi Bowen and Carla, could you turn your cameras on?
The thing like that.
Okay, can you take a picture now, Pierre?
It's done.
You have your picture? Okay, very good. So wave to everybody. And Carmen, would you like to talk about some of your requests? What you would like to see more of?
Thank you. Yes, I just want to make a comment. Since we started this character education initiative in Belize, Trinity School is being like a pilot school to implement this character education. I remember last year we got some videos of teachers giving lessons to the students, and also some of the students dramatization of the lessons, and that was very encouraging for us and very good. But we didn't get so much this year. So I know you have a lot of work to do at the school, but if you could make these videos of monitoring and the lessons and the children's comments and send them to us so that we can see how much this character education is impacting the children for good or is not enough. So if there is any possibility, I would like to ask you that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmen. So we'll work on that request. As per our next webinar, it will be maybe 4 to 6 weeks from now. We meet on a Friday evening to do planning. So if you have any requests, let's see, I see Mrs. Wade, do you have any comments or thoughts from the webinar today? I know you're the principal there at St. Martin's.
Yes, good afternoon. As I said before, I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. Our school do have character values that we work with our students. And as I also mentioned, some of what you mentioned that are in the or on the website is what we are currently doing in our school. I'm curious to really go in and get some more ideas and strategies that we can implement in the classrooms as well to help develop character among our students. But I am truly privileged to have been here today and to have been a part of this forum. And I'm looking forward to even more forums of this nature. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And welcome to the team and welcome to the webinars. And yes, in 4 to 6 weeks, we will have another webinar. And thank you for joining today with your teachers. And yes, we have a lot of different resources that we can help support you with.